Hey, it's
Fan Showdown Season 3 Episode 8.
time. So how long has it been since we took a look at some of your guys' fan designs in our never-ending quest to find the best cooling fan
the world has ever seen?
Or at the very least, just have like a fun time along the way. Now, if this is your first time here and you're a bit confused about what's going on, this is the Fan Showdown. It's a series I run on my channel where you out there try your hand at designing what you think the best PC cooling fan should be. You then take those designs, you send them to me, I print them out, and we all have a good time. So if you're interested in joining the fray, check the link in the description below. All the information you need to get in on the action is down there. And for now, let's get in the game. Thank you to Luster for sponsoring this video. If you're like me, most of your shopping happens online. However, sometimes it's hard to figure out if you're really getting the best product for your money, and this is where Luster can help. Luster is a free product research assistant that helps you make informed purchasing decisions. Say you're shopping for something like a new monitor, but you don't really know which one to buy. Luster will immediately tell you which ones are the best for your budget so you can be sure you're getting the best bang for your buck. You can actually see why people chose the products they did by checking reviews and ratings from sources that you trust, like Wirecutter, Reddit discussions, and other YouTubers. Luster can even tell you if a product's on sale or compare prices across many retailers like Walmart, Target, or Best Buy. Online shopping is meant to be quick, so save time and money, and always get the best products by installing Luster using the link in the description below. It's completely free. Over the life of this series, there has been a lot of discussion on how many blades a fan should have. A little, a lot, 6, 9, 12. What is the golden number? 40? Tyler says 40. Well, technically he said 46, but 6 were small blades on the inside of this hub to be like impellers, and they were very thin, and my printer had a hard time making it happen. This is the Monstrosity, and it was designed by Tyler, and it may be the highest blade count fan we have ever seen on the channel. The blades are arranged in 2 rows of 20 with a slight offset. The blades have a nice airfoil profile and are aligned in such a way that the upper blades help feed the lower blades. Now, to me, it looks a bit cramped. I'm not sure how it's gonna do performance-wise, but I'm really interested to see how it sounds.
Do you want to try that again?
I'm interested to hear how it sounds. From our experiments in the past, we know that normally high blade count fans are higher pitched. So I'm interested to see how 40 blades will sound, especially when they're arranged in such a unique configuration. Now, if the Monstrosity should be high pitched, or we think it's gonna be high pitched, this next one should be quite the opposite. This is the Tri-Mask, and it was created by Sweaty, and the design for this fan was inspired by like a face mask, like one of those opera ones, like a surprised opera face mask. This fan has 3 large blades with 2 eye holes in each one. Now, normally a 3-bladed fan such as this would do decently, but now that we have these holes in it, I'm wondering what that does. Does it hurt performance? Does it help performance? More importantly, what does it do sound-wise? Do you think those little holes will make like a whistling sound or something? I don't know. But from a fan inspired by a mask, we move to a fan inspired by a machine whose operator wears a mask.
You suck!
Yeah, this is the T33 Mark III, and it was created by Jason, and it's just one of those fans you look at and you're like, oh, Jason came to play. The T33 Mark III was inspired by the Lockheed T33 Shooting Star, which was produced from 1948 to 1959. The T33 was the aircraft used by the United States Air Force's undergraduate pilot training program until it was eventually phased out by the T-37 Tweet and the T-38 Talon in the 60s. But you know what's even more interesting is that there was a variant of the Shooting Star, the T-33B, that was being operated by the Bolivian Air Force up until 2017. Now, Jason didn't say what part of the fan, what part of the plane inspired his fan, but I would assume it was its wings. The best part though is this fan was exceptionally easy to print, and it came out looking great. Like the finish, it just looks good. It's like the perfect thickness where my printer's like, oh, I got it. It looks like this thing is going to be a powerhouse of performance. The best part was it printed quickly, which is something that can't be said about this next one. This monstrous print took 36 hours, like twice. Because if you watch my previous video, you know that the first one didn't really come out that well. This is the Shredder, and it was created by Dries. Now the Shredder was inspired by a roof exhaust ventilator, specifically the roof turbines. This is actually the second time we've seen a fan inspired by roof turbines. I didn't know they were so popular still. Now, these vents are designed in such a way that like when the wind blows past them, they spin, and the spinning helps draw hot, humid air out of like a tight space, normally an attic. Now, I will say this thing does look sweet, but it was a pain to print. The biggest issue I had with the shredder was its thickness. Like the monstrosity, these little tiny blades in the monstrosity's hub, there was some features on this fan that were like one layer thick, which makes for a really light fan, which is good, but it also makes for a very fragile fan. It's very hard to print. The final print quality isn't ideal, and as a sanity check, I printed a little benchy afterwards, because that's what you do if you don't know if your printer's working. You print boats, and the benchy came out beautifully. So I think that the lackluster finish was kind of down to using a 0.04 millimeter nozzle with this specific layer or wall thickness. I think if I would have dropped it to like a 0.2 millimeter nozzle, it would have printed much, much better. But I also would have died of old age just waiting on it to finish. So this is what we got.
Do you like it? Do I like it? Wow!
But moving on to sound. Many of you asked me in past videos to see the sound floor of this room before we tested the fans, and I have listened. So today's sound floor is 27 dBA, or right around there. As for fans, the monstrosity came in at 47.8 dBA, which isn't crazy loud, but if you look at the spectrum, you can see that most of the sound being produced falls right around 30 hertz, which I found very fascinating. I mean, look at that Mount Everest peak right there. The TriMass came in around 46.8 dBA, which again, pretty quiet, but if you look at the spectrum, it had 6 different level peaks, or sound level peaks, around 40, 80, 120, 250, 370, and 500 hertz. Which begs a question. What do you think's more annoying?
Your mom?
Do you think it's more annoying to listen to a fan that has like one predominant frequency that you can hear, or one that has like 6 that are kind of blended together? I would be inclined to think that one singular frequency would be much more annoying, but I'd be interested to know what you think. The T33 Mark III came in around 39.2 dBA, which is really good. And the best part is, though, the spectrum is much smoother, with the frequencies that stick out being 30 and 220 hertz. The shredder came in at 46.2, which again, not super loud, but the shredder had a lot of vibration it had to deal with. But even so, it had the smoothest spectrum curve of all the fans we've tested. It was the closest to being like white noise. And in my opinion, listening to all these in real life here, it was the easiest on the ear. When it came to the flow test, the shredder did reasonably well, drawing in quite a bit of air with its large intake. However, it didn't really do so well when it came to accelerating that air out the back. Instead, the shredder produced mostly low velocity turbulent flow. The TriMass did pretty well. It didn't seem to draw in as much air as a shredder, but the air that it did draw in was accelerated much better out the back, and the velocity looked higher, and the flow was much tighter. The monstrosity did a decent job drawing in air, but it kind of looked like it was being choked by itself, and the air that it did pull in wasn't really accelerated that well. And although it might have been better than the shredder, I don't know, it just seems like it wasn't moving as much air as it should. Now the T33 Mark III, on the other hand, it killed it. It looked like it was hoovering up more air than all the other fans. Additionally, all the air that it took in, it did a great job accelerating that air mass out the back of the fan. To me, it looked like it was moving more air than all the other fans, and that flow out the back looks like a laser beam. Look at it. So far, the T33 is stacking up to be an absolute killer. It prints good, it prints easily, it's quiet, it pushes air around like nobody's business. I mean, what else could you want? If this thing cools, it could be good. The monstrosity came in with an average temperature of 81.8 at a room temperature of 20, giving us a delta of 61.8. The TriMass came in with an average temperature of 82.2 at a room temperature of 20, giving us a delta of 62.2. The T33 Mark III came in with an average temperature of 77.1 at a room temperature of 20.7, giving us a delta of 56.4. And the shredder came in with an average temperature of 80.7 at a room temperature of 20.5, giving us a delta of 60.2. Placing the T33 Mark III in first place, the Shredder in second, the Monstrosity in third, and the Trimask in fourth. Overall, though, the T33 placed second, only behind the A12X25, which really we don't count on the board, and the Cheater, which is actually incredible. The T33, to me, is probably one of the best fans we have tested, at least in this season. I mean, it prints quickly, it's quiet, the finish is great, the support material comes off great. Jason, hats off, you did a very good job with the design of this fan. So thank you very much for watching. If you want to get in on the action again, check the link in the description below. I have links to where you can find the critical dimensions you need to hit for all your fans so they fit on the A12X25 frame. You can also find a model to use as a template and where to send them. You need to send me at least a STL file to the fanshowdown@gmail.com. We'll print them out, we'll have a good time, and I'll see you next time.